In this episode, we're going to talk about risky behavior. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast, the podcast of professional tactical fitness. As I said, I'm your host, Michael Sahno. Let's get the bill paying out of the way. This podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness, right there. So head on over to www. It's the home of professional tactical fitness. So head on over to www.sandl.fit or www.sandlfit.com. That's www.sandlfit.com. Head on over there. We got shirts, we got hats, all kinds of stuff. We have training programs, and I'll tell you more about it at the end of the episode. This podcast is also brought to you by, and I had to slim things down, so this podcast is also brought to you by 511 Tactical, makers of some of the best tactical and tactical fitness equipment on the planet. We are also brought to you by Gatorz Eyewear. Super awesome high-speed eyewear for not just tactical situations, but all situations. You got to look good all the time. 360, 365, 360 direction. You get it. This podcast is also brought to you by who else? Thorne, makers of some of the best supplements on the planet. I take them every night before I go to bed. Why? Because what's on the outside of the bottle is on the inside of the bottle. So check them out. And then finally, who else are we brought to you by? We're brought to you by RDX Sports, makers of some of the finest combat sports equipment on the planet. I use them for Muay Thai. I use their gloves and their wraps and their protective gear, which you can see behind me. And then over, if you're watching on YouTube, over my left shoulder, you can see the focus pad mitts. We use them in our fitness programs, which, did I mention, you can find at www.sandlfit.com. All right, that's it. Okay, so what was I talking about with, risky behavior? What am I bringing up? I am bringing up something that's actually really super important. I am bringing up assumption of risk. So assumption of risk is essentially, and I'm doing this all in layman's terms, so I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Peter Madeira, this is for you. All right, coffee's down. So assumption of risk is what you take when you engage in behavior that could potentially lead to injury, and it's on you. I was going to say death too, but I mean, I guess. But injury, it's the risk that you voluntarily cede. No. It's the risk that you voluntarily assume when engaging in behavior that could lead to potentially injury. Why do I bring this up? Because working out is potentially risky behavior. You're stressing your physiology to a point where, if done incorrectly, if you're not paying attention to form, if you're not paying attention to, your body's signals, the information that your receptors, your neural receptors are sending to your brain that, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't lift that. wow, I've never felt that kind of pull before. Um, could be taken the wrong way, whatever. But like, you go into the gym and you say to yourself, we've all done it. Oh, I can lift that weight. I could totally lift that weight. And you go lift that weight. And yes, you are capable of physically lifting up that weight. But I'll be damned if you didn't pull your groin and feel a little bit of a pop because you just gave yourself a freaking hernia trying to lift up something that you had no business touching in the first place. Assumption of risk is something that I actually deal with in two different spectrums, so to speak. So I work as a pistol instructor at West Point. So I help new cadets, hone their shooting skills, and I use physiology. I use, human physiology and ergonomics and kinesiology and all those ologies to help put their bodies in the proper shooting position using the right amount of force in order to battle recoil. But every one of those kids, because they are kids, they're like college age, every one of those kids assumes risk by being on that range. It may sound like an extreme example, but it's actually not, because there are times when I've engaged in exercises, been engaged in fitness, and I've done stuff that was just jackwagon stupid and wound up not listening to my body when, like, been outside on an extremely hot day, said, you know what, I'll go in, I'll get something to drink later after this workout, because I didn't, laziness, you know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, when you're in that, within the borders of assumption of risk, when you're within the confines of an activity or a place that requires you to make an assumption of risk, the reason you become injured is not because of something someone else did. Granted, I said 9 times out of 10. So, did someone, when you go to use a cable machine, and they were doing maintenance on it, not put it back together correctly? Does that happen sometimes? Yeah, that does happen sometimes. Does someone not put weights back correctly so that when you go to get it, the whole thing falls on you and you wind up breaking your toe? Yes, sometimes that happens. But those incidents are rare. More often than not, when it is not on you, the injury, I mean, it's on the other party, the owner, the trainer, whatever, whoever, because they weren't paying enough attention. But what's interesting about that is they were doing the same thing that the 9 times out of 10 people were doing. They weren't paying attention. They weren't following the standards. They weren't, I'm trying to think of the term. So we have a thing. All right. So I'm going to go back to the shooting thing with cadets. So 9 times out of 10, if a cadet does not hit the target where they wanted to hit the target, it is because of something that we call fundamentals. Okay. There's a purpose to this. And this is tactical fitness. So if I'm going to use a shooting analogy, you guys can just, all right. So fundamentals. So what are fundamentals? Fundamentals are ensure you have a good sight picture, and you're aimed where you need to be on the target. Ensure that you have a proper grip and have good connection to the pistol. You have good purchase of the pistol, purchase being grip and hold on the pistol. Connection meaning your hands are in the right place on the pistol, and that when you fire the pistol, you let the recoil do what it's going to do and you come back down onto target. Those are your fundamentals. There's more to it. Little nuances that will make you better. But overall, it's ensuring that you have the fundamentals. And if you have the fundamentals, you will be being safe. Okay. And you will have good shots and everyone on the firing line will be safe. There's a lot more to it. Like, don't point at anything you're not willing to, destroy. Ensuring that there's just a ton of stuff that's outside the scope of this discussion. But essentially, the fundamentals are, sight picture, grip, connection. Sight picture, purchase, and connection. So those are your fundamentals. Those are the things that you have to pay attention to. If you're not paying attention to those, if you're too tense, if you're not relaxed, if you're, doing all of these things and you're not engaging in the fundamentals, then you're going to have a bad day. Best case scenario, you're not going to hit what you want. Worst case scenario, you're going to get hurt or somebody else is going to get hurt. Fundamentals. So the same goes for when you are exercising. The same goes for when you are in the gym. And what are some of the fundamentals of being in the gym? Being aware of everyone who is around you. I know right now there are videos on TikTok, there are videos on Instagram of people, why is that guy looking at me? Well, he may not be looking at you. He may be just observing his environment to ensure that he's being safe and that he is not going to disturb anyone and no one is going to come up and disturb him. No one's going to walk through and bump into him, or ensuring that he's in a good place to be doing the exercise that he's chosen to engage in. So that's one. It's environmental awareness. Okay, that's your first one. Let's say that's your first fundamental. I should write these down. Your second fundamental. You are engaging in an exercise that you can do properly. Okay? That could mean a couple of different things. That could mean I have a hip mobility issue. I have a shoulder rotational issue. I go into the gym with a sore shoulder. I go into the gym not being able to squat fully. And I go in and do push-ups that aggravate my shoulder. I do, what do you call them? Kettlebell swings that could aggravate my shoulder. I do deep squats, body or barbell, and I just don't have the mobility to get all the way down, and I wind up overtaxing the tendons in my hip, overtaxing the tendons in my shoulder, giving myself some type of back injury because I'm not loosened up enough. It's understanding that some exercises you can do cold, some exercises require warm-up. And if you don't do the warm-up, you may be at risk for injury. So that's another fundamental, making sure that you are engaging in movements that you're capable of, not doing shit that you can't do. The other one is, and this is specific to weight training, but also could be specific to body weight training. Even something as simple as running. Your muscles don't have the capacity to lift or maintain or hold the weight that you're going to be using. Okay. So you put, and I've done this before, all of you out there, and if you haven't, God bless you. But most of us out there have done a barbell back squat and said, oh, yeah, got this. Totally got this. And go down and come up. And in that movement, go, holy shit. I don't know what that was, but that was not good. And then, like an a-hole, what do? Let me do another one just to see if it really was that bad. And you wind up, it's even worse. That was the last back injury I had doing, I think it was front squats. Might have been barbell back squats, barbell front squats. One of the two. But I did the exercise and had a real clear, oh shit moment. And then went, oh, all right, let me do one more. I don't, I have this magical number in my head, and this number is the amount of reps that I am required in my skull, only required in my skull. Nobody else is telling me I got to do them. But that magical number sometimes makes you do stupid junk. And so there's that. I'm having trouble with my right shoulder right now. It kind of came out of nowhere. One of those kind of things. There was no moment. There was just, I woke up one day and was like, oh man, what is going on? And I've been trying to do some exercises for it. But I can't believe it. Be honest. Before I tried to do some exercises for it, what I tried to do was do a workout on it. I tried to do a shoulder exercise workout, and it was hilarious too, because I went and I grabbed the dumbbells and went like, whoa, oh my gosh, couldn't do it, and realized, hey, this is too much. This was too much to do. This was way too much to do. So what did I cover? I covered situational environmental awareness, making sure that you are in a safe spot, that you're not going to hurt anyone, and that no one else is going to accidentally interrupt you or hurt you while you're doing your exercise. And I don't mean people coming at you with like machetes. I mean like someone, you're in I'm just going to do this right in the middle of the weight area. I'm going to do jumping jacks right in the middle. No, you go over and you do it in the plyometrics area, the cardio area. But that's the first one. So environmental awareness, we'll call it. And then the second one is ensuring that your body can do the exercise. You have the range of motion to do the exercise. And then the second one is it's in a weight that you are capable of correctly lifting, right? And remember, I said body weight too. So let's say like with my shoulder, I did push-ups because I did a full body kind of calisthenic workout. And I was able to get through it. Fine. I could feel a little twinge here and there, but overall, I was able to get through it. But if my shoulder had been hurting, I would have, all right, let's do something else. Let's put the weight vest on and walk around. So body weight can be an issue too. You know what I mean? Even in the instance of running, you know what I'm saying? So let's say you go outside, you got a twinge in your thigh or in your calf or something because you heard it earlier in the day, and then you go out for your run, you get about 100 feet, and you're like, I can't do this. That's another instance of the body not being capable of taking the impact force or weight on that limb, on that muscle group. So those are the three things we have. We have one more, and this one is, I would say, the most important. Okay. Absolutely the most important. Ensure that you are doing the exercise correctly. That is the one that will jack you up the most, in my opinion and in my experience. So, yeah, environmental will get you sometimes because you'll just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, too much weight. But a lot of times we're really good at figuring out how much we can and can't lift, unless we're like a super meatball and we're not getting it. And what was the other one? There was another one. Ensuring that you're doing an exercise that you're capable of doing. Because a lot of times we'll try it once and go, can't do that, or some other thing. So those three things, they'll hit you, but they won't hit you as often in terms of injury as doing the exercise wrong. And this is going to sound like a plug, and maybe it is a little bit, but if you go to our website, you'll see a YouTube link. And on that YouTube link, I don't get any money for putting these up. But on our YouTube channel, I have an exercise library. And it took a lot of time to make this library. This was a passion project for me. And it was because I was pulling videos from different places to give people examples of exercises. So I would send, let's say I sent 6 exercises to people. They would be from, at a minimum, 4 different people. You know what I mean? 4 videos from 4 different channels on YouTube. So what I did is I created an exercise library. So if somebody wanted to know a bunch of exercises, I could just send them a link to the library and say, look it up in there. You'll find it. Just use the search. Because what I do is I tell you what the exercise is and tell you specifically what to do point by point. And the video freezes at points of importance. So let's say when you're doing you're getting ready to lift the sandbag off of the ground for a clean, right? I'll say, make sure your feet are shoulder width apart, blah, 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 blah. And you'll see my big dumb ass standing there frozen, and I look like an idiot. But I don't care because it's a good visual instruction. You'll see me holding the handles frozen in time as I'm yammering on what you're supposed to do. But the reason I do that is because the most important thing, in my opinion and my experience, is to ensure that you are using proper form and doing the exercise properly. Okay? So those 4 things. 1, right? Environmental awareness. 2, is it an exercise that you're capable of doing? 3, is it a weight that you're capable of doing? And 4, what's number 4? Number 4 is ensuring that you are using proper form. Take care of all those, and your risk, when you assume the risk, is diminished exponentially, I think. I think if you do, lightning strikes sometimes. There's just nothing you can do about it. Wolverines will come, a rampaging pack of Wolverines will come into the gym. What can you do? You can't do anything about that. But what you can do is ensure that you follow those 4 fundamentals when you are exercising, and your assumption of risk will be diminished. All right, that's all I got for you guys. As I said, this podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. So head on over to www.sandlfit.com. That's www.sandlfit.com, the home of professional tactical fitness. Get yourself some gear. We got new shirts, a bunch of hats, all kinds of fun stuff. Head on over there, pick some of it up, support the channel, support, what I do. Veteran-owned business, bro. And pick up a program. Our programs are $10, $9.99, and you get on there for a lifetime. And that's literally, I just give you a plan, and then you can go and see how to do it on YouTube in the exercise library. Is it simple? What am I paying for? I'm just getting a piece of paper and this guy's sent. Yeah, that's it. That's why it's only $10. So head on over. And we are also brought to you by 511 Tactical, makers of some of the best tactical equipment on the planet, the best tactical fitness equipment on the planet. I use their sandbags. I'm using them in this new workout that I developed. I use them in the exercises on the YouTube channel. Love them. Great stuff. So head on over there, check it out. Link in the description below. We're also brought to you by Gatorz, Gatorz Eyewear. Phenomenal company. There's a link in the description below for them as well. Get yourself some Gators. You will not regret it. We're also brought to you by Thorne. As I told you, I use Thorne, but the cool thing is I have a dispensary in the link below, and everything in that dispensary is 10% off. It's all the stuff that I use, but if there's stuff in that on the website that you want and it's not in the dispensary, let me know. I'll put it in there and it will be 10% off. And finally, RDX Sports. Love those guys, man. When you want to knock some heads, and we always do, there comes a time when you just want to punch something. Well, punch it with an RDX boxing glove on. And I have a 10% code in the description below. So follow the link in the follow the link in the description below. Use that code in the description below and get yourself 10% off of everything in the cart. I think unless it's on sale, but go on over there. At the very least, pick up some focus pad mitts and do some knee raises into the focus pad mitts. You'll thank me. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for being here, and later, honey badgers. Honey badger actual out.